Coming up now on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, we've got the updated lineup for AEW All Out after several matches were booked last night on Dynamite. Sean Waltman was very much not impressed with what happened between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair at SummerSlam, and we've got the lineup for tonight's Impact Wrestling coming up now on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown. Just a reminder that we omit any news or information which could potentially spoil the future angles, storylines, or match results for you. If you appreciate this style of wrestling coverage, please consider sharing this video with a friend, subscribing, and clicking the notifications bell. On AEW Dynamite last night from Milwaukee, several matches were confirmed for the upcoming All Out pay-per-view on September 5th from Chicago's Now Arena. Including the buy-in, we've now got 9 matches confirmed for the event. On the pre-show, we will have the 21-woman Casino Battle Royale, with the winner earning a future shot at the AEW Women's World Championship. So far, 9 women are confirmed for the match, including former Women's World Champion Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, the Bunny from the Hardy Family Office, Big Swole will be in the match. From the Varsity Blondes, Julia Hart is entered. Ty Conti will be in the match as well. Diamante, Penelope Ford, and Red Velvet are all confirmed for that match. So on Dynamite, we had Jon Moxley's match for All Out confirmed. He'll be taking on Satoshi Kojima on the show. He cut a promo on Kojima this week on Dynamite. Also confirmed last night on Dynamite for All Out will be the Women's World Championship. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, will defend against Chris Statlander. Also confirmed last night, another match between Chris Jericho and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. However, the stipulation with this match is if Jericho loses, he will retire from in-ring competition in AEW. Pac will take on Andrade El Idolo at All Out. Paul White will also return to the ring. He'll take on QT Marshall. A steel cage match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships will take place at All Out, as the Young Bucks will defend against the winner of the Tag Team Elimination Tournament, and the finals will take place on Rampage, and we'll see the Lucha Bros go up against Jurassic Express. For the AEW World Championship at All Out, Kenny Omega will defend against Christian Cage, and also at All Out, making his in-ring return for the first time in more than 7.5 years, CM Punk will take on Darby Allin. All that scheduled for All Out on September 5th from Chicago. During his interview with Tony Schiavone last night on Dynamite, CM Punk blew a kiss and said hello to his wife April, which of course is AJ Mendez. The former AJ Lee took to Twitter following this and wrote, "Wasn't expecting to hear my government name tonight." Also from Milwaukee yesterday, the episode of Dynamite was in Milwaukee where CM Punk had done his MMA training with Rufus Sport, and you can see him here posing for a picture with Duke Rufus, Zelina Vega, and Malachi Black. They were all at the Rufus Sport gym before Dynamite yesterday. And unfortunate news for WWE's Pat McAfee. He took to social media to mention that he has tested positive for COVID-19, and unfortunately it does appear as though he is dealing with some symptoms. He wrote, "Fully vaxxed, very positive. AHT indefinitely? It's miserable, but thankful that my wife and the boys at the office all took tests and they are all negative. This is obviously a sign from the universe, probably telling me that I stink and to stay home for a while. I'll see yins." And Pat McAfee is not the only one who was sharing unfortunate news to social media recently. FDR's Cash Wheeler posted some photos and information about the injury he suffered last month. If you remember at Fight for the Fallen, the match between Santana and Ortiz and FTR seemed to come to an abrupt end as Cash Wheeler was on the outside of the ring being attended to by doctors. What had happened was that he had snagged his arm on a turnbuckle hook that ended up tearing into his flesh and caused quite a bit of bleeding. And so he wrote the following yesterday on Twitter, along with some images of the injury. He wrote, August 28th, that's incorrect, he means July 28th, I had a hook stab into my arm and rip it open. For almost a month I've been dealing with loss of grip strength, loss of feeling, nerve damage, and wondering if this is even worth it anymore. If this is the end, we're taking a pound of flesh with us. Now, he's not the only member of his tag team who has sort of teased that the end of their wrestling careers could be coming sooner rather than later. Dax Harwood took to Twitter and had the following to say recently. He said, "Tag team wrestling has been a major chunk of my life for the better part of a decade. It's how I fed my family. It's the foundation on what our legacy has been built on. Is it worth it? I guess we'll see." And then also in response to Cash Wheeler's photos that he posted, Harwood wrote, "Just one more ride." So FTR appear to be teasing that their in-ring careers could be coming to a close soon. We'll just have to see what happens. The rematch between Santana and Ortiz and FTR has been scheduled for next week's Dynamite. At WWE SummerSlam, Becky Lynch defeated Bianca Belair to win the SmackDown Women's Championship in just 25 seconds. Becky hit Bianca with sort of a cheap shot after offering her a handshake and then gave her the manhandle slam for the win. A lot of fans, particularly those who had been cheering for Bianca Belair ever since she won the Royal Rumble earlier this year and then went on to main event WrestleMania against Sasha Banks, a lot of fans feeling as though Bianca perhaps deserved better, and a lot of fans drawing comparisons to Becky Lynch's defeat of Bianca Belair to Brock Lesnar's defeat of Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. One person who was not altogether thrilled with the Becky versus Bianca match at SummerSlam was Sean Waltman, who talked about it on his Pro Wrestling for Life podcast. Here is what Waltman had to say. Bianca is on her way to being a megastar, and a lot of people are really emotionally invested in her. You can't do that to people in this day and age. You used to be able to do it. That's why I was saying that was the old mentality, but everyone knows what's going on. The fan base is incredibly educated, and WWE, I've heard them compare themselves to Marvel. Marvel, when it comes to fan service, they're amazing. This ain't it. You can't on a huge portion of your fan base like that. I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan, really big. I was so happy with her, and when she got the bloody nose, cut the promo and all that, and I'm still a big fan. This did her no favors. It was just unbelievable. Bianca, she's a thoroughbred. It's just totally unbelievable that she would get beat that quick by anybody in that roster. Maybe Nia. So what is next for Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch? I guess we'll find out on SmackDown. If you've been a wrestling fan for more than a minute, you are probably aware that Tommy Dreamer is a really good guy. Well, Tommy Dreamer spent a few days trying to track down the fan from this image from the first dance in Chicago's United Center. This fan shown having a passionate, emotional reaction as CM Punk made his return to pro wrestling. Well, Dreamer was finally able to track down the fan, and he spoke about his conversation with him recently on Busted Open Radio. Here is what Dreamer had to say. Dreamer said, "I offered to fly him to Bound for Glory. Talked to Tony Khan. Tony Khan said he'll take care of him for tickets. CM Punk spoke to him, said he'd take care of him for a meet and greet." Dreamer continued to speak of the fan. He said, "What a wonderful fan. He does not want any fame, doesn't really want anything, which is good because I was going to fly him on my miles. I asked him to come on this show and he's like, I have a job and a wife, 2 kids, and I just really appreciate professional wrestling. And he didn't want anything. I still arranged for it to happen, and good old Judge Jeff Jones made sure all the stuff with Tony Khan and CM Punk, it's all going to happen for him." It was really cool to hear his response and just his fandom for professional wrestling. So it sounds like Dreamer was able to make contact with the man. There is going to be some meet and greets with the fan and CM Punk. So that's great. And once again, Tommy Dreamer, really good guy. And the last thing we'll discuss in this video, we've got Impact Wrestling tonight at 8 p.m. on Access TV, or beginning at 8:30 p.m. if you are a subscriber to the Impact Insiders on YouTube. And here is what they've got scheduled for tonight's show. The Impact World Champion Christian Cage will be in the Impact Zone, so we'll see what he has to say. The Bullet Club's Chris Bay will take on David Finlay. Chris Sabin will take on Sami Callihan. We'll have Taylor Wilde taking on the members of The Influence, Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rayne. And the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, will take on Rich Swann and Willie Mack. And with that, you are completely up to date with everything making headlines in the world of professional wrestling, minus anything which could potentially spoil future shows for you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notifications bell. I'm your host, Gentleman Ian, for Spoiler Free Wrestling.